In this third episode, we will explore what constitutes consciousness intelligence and how far it permeates throughout our universe, and how it is integral to both space-time and matter-energy as the 6 basic properties of the universe. A single basic substance, under the guidance of the creative force, permeates the entire universe. The words matter, energy, space, time, intelligence, and consciousness form the acronym MYSTIC to refer to this basic substance. So tell us a little bit about why consciousness and intelligence needs to be considered as one, and how does information versus intelligence fit into this?
Information is another concept that science has come up with more recently that needs to be added to matter, energy, space, time as what is the basis of our reality. And I would say that, yeah, this gets us closer to our understanding of reality, but it still is wanting because information by itself does not imply consciousness. You have to use the word intelligence as I defined it in the theory. I would say intelligence equals information plus consciousness. Information by itself leaves out the most important aspect of our reality that science tends to ignore, except more recently, where scientists are coming to the understanding that consciousness really is a primary ingredient of the universe. Information is a sterile concept. All it does is give you a description of whatever it is that you're trying to describe. You can do it verbally, you can do it mathematically, but it's just a description, and it doesn't go beyond whatever that description is. But without consciousness, you can't make any sense out of the information. And so in a nutshell, again, I would say intelligence equals mathematically information plus consciousness. Information and consciousness are part of intelligence, or the part of intelligence.
So why can't you separate consciousness from intelligence? As we've talked about, space-time, matter, energy, consciousness, intelligence. Why do they need to be combined together as one and not separated?
Both need to be together to have the most clear-cut, full understanding of intelligence consciousness, or consciousness intelligence. It takes two words to define the property, just like matter energy or energy matter. They're different. Matter energy really are energy. Matter comes from energy. By taking energy and condensing it into smaller components within space, you create form, you create matter. We know we can take matter and make it into energy. When we built the first atom bomb and exploded it, this proved that we could take matter and change it, convert it into energy. Well, we can also reverse that and take energy to make matter.
Isn't that the premise in Star Trek of beaming somebody from the spaceship down to the planet surface? Is
Yeah,
taking matter and turning it into energy, then returning it to matter?
it's a really cool concept, and maybe someday we'll be able to do that.
But and I'm not trying to be
Yeah,
funny here, but is that the premise of what you're talking about?
I would say, yeah, yeah.
Science fictionally theoretical.
Teleportation, taking matter, breaking it down into molecular structures, and then beaming it across space to something that then uh, captures that energy and then reconstruct it into form. Yeah, that's kind of the same general concept.
Tell us, why is intelligence consciousness and consciousness intelligence if they're the same thing?
Consciousness is awareness. Intelligence is in a state of awareness, being able to understand all of the thoughts and creative ideas that we've had. because we're conscious. Without the consciousness, we wouldn't be aware of anything that's happening within the universe. Uh, let's say that the universe evolved without consciousness, and that consciousness is an epiphenomenon manufactured by what's happening in the brain. The brain dies, consciousness ceases to exist. Let's envision a universe like that, which is not our universe. But okay, we have a universe that's not conscious, but all of these things, physical things that are going on, we would not be aware of those physical things. We would not be able to comprehend any of these things without consciousness. Could we have a universe that is devoid of consciousness, that just has the physical properties like physics describes? Well, maybe we could, but again, I think that we have there is so much information out there or evidence which is accumulating scientifically, which absolutely screams for the need for consciousness. Not only yells loud, but screams. And if you aren't aware of them, you're just not paying attention, or you're purposefully excluding them from your thinking. And I think that that's one of the concepts that neuroscience is ignoring against all of the evidence that I would say establishes it as fact. Now, I'll get a lot of blowback from what I just said, but respectfully, I say with love for all of you, in this instance, you're wrong. I would say all life forms have some level of intelligence, consciousness. Chimpanzees, primates in general, are vastly equipped with both consciousness and intelligence. It gives them the mental ability to live in their state of reality, and they are constantly coming up with new ideas. It took an ape or primate the understanding that, oh, I can take this branch, skinny branch, and put it down a termite hole, pull up the branch, which now is covered with termites, and then I can eat the termites. And then other primates saw the one primate do this, and now they all are seen to do this. I think it was Lyle Watson who was studying monkeys on one of the Japanese islands off the coast of the mainland. And he observed a child monkey starting to wash sweet potatoes in the ocean. Never been seen before in this group of primates or any other group. And this little monkey was observed washing this potato. What was he doing? Well, he was scrubbing the dirt off the potato, number one, and he was adding the flavor of salt to the potato. And so that when he ate the potato, supposedly enjoyed it more than one that had dirt and no salt on it. And after he'd been doing this for a few weeks, a few other of his playmates started doing the same thing. They imitated what he was doing, and they were now all washing their potatoes before they ate them. And not that long after, the adults started doing the same thing. They saw their kids doing this, and they started eating these washed potatoes in the ocean, and became, over a period of time, weeks, months, I'm not sure, but sooner than later, all of the monkeys on the island were doing the same thing. And the very interesting thing about this is that some of the islands away from this one island were then later on picking up the same process of washing potatoes in the ocean before they ate them. So not only did it go from one monkey mind to another monkey mind, it jumped from one island to another. Okay, well, how do you explain that? Oh, well, because they were accessing the universal mind like we do. Another group of monkeys physically separated from this island started doing the same thing because the concept was out there in the universal mind and they were able to access this and start scrubbing potatoes. I think that all of us as humans and even animals uh, use both consciousness and intelligence and have to have both going for them to come up with all of the ideas that you construct within your own individual mind. Uh, you begin as an infant, you come out of the womb, you're just a newborn, and you don't really appear to have any understanding of anything. You kind of look around in a daze. In a few months, you start to pay attention to the things around you, and as your mind is developing, and then in a few years, you're an adult where you're able to really master a lot of these concepts, put them together in these higher order levels of understanding, coming up with mind-blowing ideas. But it's consciousness, intelligence that each one of us must have for this to be able to happen. In addition to that, I would say that um, I don't recall anybody talking about the exponential increase of consciousness intelligence from the origin of the universe continuing through until now. But I think that there is very strong evidence, if you look at the cosmic calendar, which has been constructed by others, showing the increase in complexity of things as they have shown up from the beginning of the universe until the appearance of man. You can see an evolutionary exponential curve that is continuing to go up, and it's accelerating, which means that it is exponential. And I think that it's very important to understand this concept because it fits well with other concepts like entropy, which is increasing also exponentially. The universe is expanding, space is expanding exponentially, entropy is increasing exponentially. All of these things are correlated together along with the increase of consciousness intelligence, and they
And
all fit together in a very comprehensive whole.
and entropy is a breakdown of the universe. And so you've got the evolution increase, but then you've got the increase of breakdown that goes along with that.
That's right. And all of these things fit together numerically um, because they're occurring exponentially. Things are breaking down from complex to simple substances, dust to dust, sort of thing. Um, Everything is cooling exponentially. If you take a cup of hot coffee and put it on the kitchen counter and let it just cool, if you measure the temperature every 5 minutes, you're going to see a drop off, a perfect exponential curve drop off of a hot object becoming a cool object, assuming that the surrounding atmosphere is cooler than the object that's cooling. But it's all occurring exponentially. And that's the beauty of this. Space is expanding exponentially. Entropy is occurring exponentially. The increase in consciousness, intelligence is increasing exponentially, and it all correlates together with one greater concept. And I don't know of anyone who has quite put it together that way. They talk about the space expanding exponentially. They talk about other things, but they don't put it all together.
And when you say they, you have one expert with the universe expanding exponentially, another talking about maybe consciousness, another talking about something else, and you've been able to take all of these and put them together into one idea or one theory.
Because everything is interconnected. And that's the beauty of this. When somebody has a superconsciousness pinnacle experience, they experience the interconnectedness of everything. That's part of the experience. Consciousness expands infinitely. Let's say there is no boundary to the experience of your consciousness expanding. And this, because I have had this experience, I can see how all of these things fit together because it correlates with the feeling, the experience that everything is interconnected. And it is. At a base level, the universe is constructed of matter, energy, intelligence, consciousness, and space-time.